long weekend coming up. Frazier Friday. By the way, we've talked a lot this week about foulterritoryshop.com getting very boosted. Did you know that the hats that you guys are wearing right now that have MLB's logo on the back of them, yes.
We did that at the same time.
That was cute. Will be Foul Territory logos. We have hats that have FT on the back. So we got smart, just like MLB did, for those that like to wear their hat backwards. I didn't mention that part earlier this week, but I wanted to get that out there.
That's a beautiful thing, baby. Let's go. I can't wait to see it. I'm going to go online right after the show.
I'm going to wear mine forwards from now on.
And there is an FT logo on the front as well. So whatever you do, you're caught. You have to go sideways. Sideways?
Oh, Jesus.
Nope.
Yeah, you're going to get in trouble for that. And you got a long weekend. One other thing before we start to take you inside what we do here. So after the show, we talk about what we're going to send out on different social platforms, including what we're going to break up into smaller segments to put out there on YouTube, right? So Kratz, yesterday we had Chandler Rome on the show, and for at least a few minutes of that conversation, we went over the lack of hitting and pop from Jose Altuve. By the time we posted the interview, I feel like 5 seconds later, he had 2 dingers, and they had a big dub.
Taking the over in all of Altuve's props, because not only did Chandler Rome say he's about to go, he could actually just go off the entire Mariners series. He said he might just get 13 hits. Well, he went sac fly, 2 dingers, 2 for 4 for the boys, 13 hits for the team. Let's get it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it took. That's all it took.
I don't think he's the type that's listening to the show, but if he did and we pissed him off a little bit, then I'm all for it, because I like watching that little man show how much pop he's got. It's pretty impressive. So 2 homers for him yesterday against the Mariners. That's a big series this weekend. But let's get to what I think is the headliner of this Memorial Day weekend. We're charging.
He's charging the mound.
Todd Father, the time has come. Almost exactly 1 year after Ronald Acuña Jr. went down with yet another ACL injury. He's torn up both knees and had surgery on them. He returns, one of the superstars of our sport, who is anxiously awaiting big league games again, has been patient, and now he's back. And he's back at a pretty good time. ATL lost yesterday to the Nats in 10 innings. They lost the day before. They should be a better team than the Nationals. Nationals playing them tough. Upcoming schedule: Padres, Phillies, Red Sox, Diamondbacks, Giants, Brewers. That's a tough stretch coming up for Atlanta. You know what helps Todd Father? A guy who a couple years ago had 40-plus homers, 70-plus stolen bags.
And listen, I'm going to explain something to you. This guy's going to come out, fires, guns a-blazing, because – from the quotes that Snitker said too as well, he's been doing great. Nothing but working out. His body's in great shape. He's lean. He's feeling good. Like, this guy is ready to go. And I know, he's been working down in the minor leagues a little bit. I know he dropped the ball, but still got the guy out at second base. He understood that. He's hitting the ball well. This guy is ready to go. And from the looks and sounds of it, he's gonna take off. And I'm really excited about this. This is good for baseball. It's good for the Bravos there, for the Braves. And, listen, everybody's still in it. There's still plenty of time to make a move here to get after it. They struggled in the beginning, but now look where they're at here, and they're ready to go. So having this guy back, if you're a Braves fan and you're a Braves player, open arms. Let's go. Time to go.
It's an element to the lineup. He's not going to be the aircraft carrier. That's not me being negative. That's not me being anti-Ronald Acuña. It just means he's ready to go, and he's an element that you have to game plan for. Sorry, there's nobody that can replace the aura, swag, whatever it is about Ronald Acuña. You also cannot expect 70 stolen base pace, 40 home run pace for the rest of the season. Just expect to see him. This is a win if he plays 2 or 3 games this weekend. To me, you get him out there during this stretch, if he can play 85% of the games that are out there, and that's why they've kind of waited for him to be ready, then that's a positive for the Braves. He'll hit a few dingers, steal a few bases. Let him get his feet under him before you start laying expectations on him.
This was talked about a little bit a couple months ago, including on our show. Do you be careful with him during the regular season as far as stolen bases? There's not much that you can pull back on with a player like this who plays with ferociousness, but you can give him a yellow and a red light at times, Todd Father, right? You can't tell him, hey, don't go all out on a fly ball. There's a lot of things, right? You know, that you can't really tell a player to chill on. You can actually stop him from being as aggressive on the base paths. If you are the Braves, would you do that?
I think the one thing, and this might sound like uncircumstantial, like you're worried about this. I think the biggest thing for me, I wouldn't say, stop his aggressiveness. Little thing like this, Kratzy, and you might agree, might not. Sliding feet first. I think, honestly, guys who slide, head first with their hands, now you can have, hand problems. I know he's got bad legs, but sliding feet first, helps you from not getting a shoulder problem if somebody lands on you, or a hand or a wrist. I know he's had the leg problems, but I think it's much easier sliding feet first. You might have to slow down just a little bit more, but understanding, like, I don't have to go guns a-blazing, Pete Rose, all, getting after it, that kind of thing. I wouldn't take the aggressiveness away, because that's when usually sometimes you do get hurt. So I would say, listen, maybe let's try sliding feet first on all these bases instead of head first.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how tough that's going to be for him to tuck that knee under the other leg, the old figure four when you're sliding feet first, if he's not used to it. I don't know. I say no. I say let him run. Let him run, only because stealing bases, how many times do you see guys pulling hammies on stealing bases? Rarely. You see it running down the first baseline. Oh, he's not running. Oh, bobbled. Now I'm going. Oh, failed it. How many times do you see guys pulling up on plays in the outfield? Rarely. To me, it's all about him understanding the pace that he has to run on ground ball outs. Sounds trivial, but when he's on the bases, let him go. Let him test his limit, because maybe that year that he didn't quite have the best year coming back, maybe he was a little too cautious. So let him test the limit.
Okay. A couple other things with the Braves. Orlando Arcia, designated from assignment. He was an all-star in 2023, former teammate of yours, Kratz, and less than 2 years after reaching the all-star game, he is either going to be off the roster or in the minor leagues. But that's how quickly the game can change. It's not really necessarily an age thing. He's always battled the hit tool, right?
He has, and that's why he was an all-star the one year, because he was hitting 290 at the all-star break. He fell off after that, but last year he hit 218, 17 dingers. Like, I think the writing was on the wall for him to start this season, because his strikeouts just ballooned last season. And I think they were sick of some of the at-bats that they saw from O. He was still kind of productive. I was surprised, because we just had who did we just have on talking about the Braves just the other day?
Grant McCauley.
Yeah, Grant McCauley was on. And he said, yeah, Nick Allen, he's always been a glove-first guy. Orlando Arcia is one of the best shortstops that I've played with. This guy is a big league shortstop, and he's a glove-first guy. So Nick Allen takes his spot. Maybe they thought there was some offensive upside. As much as there's not much there with Nick Allen, they probably felt it was better than with O. Orlando Arcia is energy galore. I know the whole thing with Bryce Harper in the playoffs. That's not why they ended up DFAing him. Yeah, I think really his at-bats and just the quality of at-bats diminished some last year. This year he's only gotten 32 plate appearances.
Yeah, that's tough. Not much. Yeah,
it's tough, man, as you're getting older, and we've all been there, Kratzy, you and I too as well. I don't know. I still think he's a really good ball player. I just think it just was the quality of bats, like you said. So if I'm another team, looking for somebody, maybe you try and fill him in and he gets his career back on track a little bit.
One question I want to see here, I want to see how Acuña gets worked in, and it's really based around Snitker. Can Brian Snitker run a lineup out there that is not 9 everyday guys? Is he able to make that adjustment? Or is he just locked into the 9 everyday guys? And could that be the Braves' downfall, not being able to get all the value out of their entire lineup, out of their entire roster?
You want to get some value out of Craig Kimbrell in your bullpen? That's the last piece of the puzzle here. All the big names coming back to ATL. So Strider's back now, hopefully for good. Ronald Acuña Jr. returns this weekend. Craig Kimbrell has a 1.29 earned run average in AAA. Braves bullpen has been mid this year. And we can show the list of what the bullpen looks like. I think you can squeeze Craig Kimbrell on there if he's looking the way he does in AAA. Stuff's always been there. Got to watch the walks, but it's basically the same script that we've said for a long time. Kratz, you think the time is looming for Craig Kimbrell to return to Atlanta? Maybe for the final chapter of his career.
Yeah, I mean, they'll give him a chance. Well, but let's temper expectations on ERAs in AAA. The biggest issue that AAA hitters have, that big league hitters who stay in the big leagues, not dudes that just go from AAA to the big leagues, is swinging at too many pitches. And when you're a guy that doesn't throw a lot of strikes consistently when things aren't going well, you can take advantage of AAA hitters. And I'm not saying, because I haven't seen one single pitch of Craig Kimbrell's in the bushes, but a guy with that track record, you got to make sure his in-zone pitch location that he's having in the bushes is good before you say, okay, we're going to supplant somebody and send them down to the bushes and put Kimbrell in the big leagues.
Yeah, and we all understand AAA is not the major league. So 1.29 is really good. I'm not taking that away from him, but it's not the caliber in Major League Baseball, but it is a good sign for him. It's a positive sign that he's working well, and we want to see it. The Braves people want to see it translate into major leagues, and he would fit perfectly in this bullpen right now, and hopefully it does translate again.
Mm-hmm. Let's get to the rest of the league. Kenny Ballgame, Ken Rosenthal, FT Senior Insider, Inside Scoop Time. Coming up next on FT. Kratz, I'm going to let everyone in on a little secret. I am not a fan of carrying around physical cash. I go Cash App, where you can send, receive, or transfer money with family and friends. It's super easy. They've got your back too. Like if you're trying to send some money and you maybe put in the wrong account name, they'll be like, hey, this is a sketchy account. Are you sure you want to send this? Cash App has your back. They do it safe, securely, easily, and fee-free.
And all you got to do is download the app, and Scott can actually pay for his half of dinner.
Exactly. For a limited time only, new Cash App users can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real, there's no catch. Download Cash App, sign up. It's very easy, and use our exclusive referral code Territory in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Hey, the Minnesota Twins have made a miraculous run through their tough start to the season, and they always have to weather the injury bug too. Carlos Correa activated after that ugly collision with him and Byron Buxton. And this is a team, Todd Father, that started slow. Then they won 13 in a row. Actually, a little trivia because we did it yesterday and some people liked it. Do you know what was the longest win streak before that? It was in the last few years. Longest win streak before the Twins.
For them or for anybody?
For anybody. I didn't realize, because I feel like every year we get a double digit, but I'm like, oh, damn, we hadn't had one Since this team, which I had forgotten about, but they picked it up, you guys know? It's probably a tough one to point out.
Tigers?
A
What
lot
year
of
was
teams
it?
have had like 10, 11. This was
What year was it?
2022.
Was that the Yankees run that they made no? Okay.
No. I mean, the thing is, a lot of teams have done the double digits 10, 11, but this one was in 2022, and it was a 14-game winning streak. I don't think you're going to get it. When I looked and I read this in an article and I kind of quizzed myself, I was like, I don't remember that one.
No, I don't.
Seattle.
All right. With their pitching staff, well, I could see it happening.
Yeah, they had a 14-gamer in 2022.
That's a lot of games. It's so many games. Like, let's just put it out there. 14 games is not 2 weeks. It's 3 weeks of baseball games.
Yeah, you're
With
right.
no losses. Crazy. Let's hit the inside scoop with FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal. Ken, good to see you. And let's start with some teams that I think deserve some love, and they got it in your notes column this morning that's out in The Athletic right now. Let us begin with the St. Louis Cardinals. We're trying to give them more attention this week after they did essentially nothing in the offseason, and they look pretty darn good. So can you give us a summary of what you wrote about with the pros and the cons of how the team is grading out right now?
The pros certainly are just what you mentioned, Scott. They're playing really well, and it can't necessarily be expected by anyone because of also what you said. They didn't do anything in the offseason. They were trying to trade Arenado. They were talking about a reset or reboot, whatever the term is, that's not rebuild. And here they are. They're right there with the Cubs for the most part. And they've pitched extremely well. They've also stayed extremely healthy. So what I wrote about was, for all the good that the rotation is doing, rotation is a very low strikeout rate. And with their great defense, and their defense is the best in the league according to outs above average, it can mask some of the lack of swing and miss, but it can't entirely erase it. So that's a concern. And the other concern is, like the Phillies, they have only one player, one pitcher on the IL right now. Kind of remarkable at this stage of the season to have only one player on the IL, and they do. And for the Cardinals, the reason that is a concern, obviously it's a great thing when you're healthy like that, but the concern is their lack of depth. They've got Michael McGreevy at AAA. He could step into the rotation at some point. They've got Steven Matz, who they've used as a starter a couple of times, but they really don't have many reinforcements if a pitcher or two in that rotation goes down, and Gray and Michaelis are older guys. But that said, offensively, while they don't really hit home runs, they crush it with singles and doubles, and they have this relentless style. They play the game well, and so far, so good. It's served them really well.
Did they know going into the season that they weren't going to hit home runs? I mean, they still had Arenado. Arenado's a 30-plus home run guy consistently. But did they know that this was going to be their MO? Like, a lot of these guys are homegrown guys. Are they growing guys in the minor leagues saying, don't worry about hitting for power? Jordan Walker was one of their top prospects. Never has had a ton of power or elevation in his swing.
I don't believe they looked at it that way, Eric, but I'm not really sure. I haven't asked that question. Walker is a guy who, you're right, doesn't have a lot of elevation in swing, but you would think can develop power. Nolan Gorman has power, but both those guys, Walker and Gorman, have been struggling for the most part. Some of their other players, like Victor Scott II and Mason Wynn, they're not going to be power hitters, even Brandon Donovan. So they had to assume it to some extent. Wilson Contreras obviously has power, as does William. But I don't know that they saw themselves as a home run team. But what they've done is decide, okay, we're not going to chase power because that only makes hitters worse. What we're going to do is play to our strengths. And their strengths are putting the ball in play and making things happen on the bases. And so far, they've done a great job of that.
New hitting coach, Brant Brown, obviously wasn't good as an offensive coordinator. Is this his MO? Because he was one of the hitting coaches that helped that Marlins team with Skip Schumacher make the playoffs. Now this is another team that he is heading up the offense, and they're overachieving.
Eric, it's always difficult to fully assess the role of a hitting coach. and how much impact he can have or not have. Brant Brown, though, as you mentioned, has had success in those two places. In Seattle, it just didn't work. He was only there a couple of months before they let him go. So you'd have to give him some credit. You definitely have to. You can't just ignore the contributions of a hitting coach. But hitting is so complex. It's so layered. There are so many things that go into it that even the best hitting coaches will tell you there's only so much they can control. So, hey, great for Brant Brown and certainly good for the Cardinals that this has all happened. How much credit he deserves or that versus the developments of younger players, I'm not sure.
Ken, I want to spin this forward for the Cardinals. Obviously, we're early for the trade deadline, but if they stay in contention like this, do you think that there are factors involved that lead them to be more aggressive buyers than maybe they should be? And the two factors for me that stand out are, number one, this is the last season that John Mozeliak is really running the ship for the front office. And number two, I think that the Cardinals might be a little less concerned about their win projections for the rest of the season. Let me give you a quick example. The Orioles in 2022 were, I think, still kind of in the mix. And I remember they ended up selling, right? Mike Elias ended up selling Trey Mancini, and they got some good names back, including Chase McDermott, who hopefully is healthy for them at some point and contributes. I think they traded Jorge Lopez as well, and they might have gotten like Yennier Cano. Somebody good came back there as well. So you look at the long-term, great. But on the short term, I was like, really? You don't think you have any chance? And I think they were looking at their win projections. Do you think the Cardinals might go the other way because they might not think like Mike Elias does? A little less computer analytics for a year like this.
I expect that if they're in contention, this being Mozeliak's last year, as you mentioned, that they will buy. Now, are they going to expend assets to make a big run, go all in, so to speak? No, I can't see them doing that. I would expect that they make relatively minor moves. If you remember a few years back when they acquired John Lester, that was Lane Thomas for John Lester. Now, Lane Thomas became a good player, but at the time, it was not a monster move. It was just a move that would upgrade them a little bit. I expect that that is what they would do. That is the approach that they would take. If they fall out of it, or if they are simply in a spot where they don't see their playoff odds as being very good, and like you said, the win projections are not where you would want them to be, yes, I could see them selling, but I really don't see that happening with them. To me, they're going to be buyers, but limited buyers, not giving up anything that's going to cost them too deeply for the future.
I want to shift gears here a little bit and talk a little bit about the Guardians and their needs. You brought up in your story the other day about outfield needs. Where do you see this going? Do you see them buyers or sellers too as well? I mean, they're a pretty good ball club.
Good segue, Todd, because Lane Thomas just came back last night. We just were talking about him. And that's a guy that they missed. He had a bone bruise in his right wrist, and he's back in center field and had a sac fly last night, I believe. He will help them. They still have nothing in right field to speak of. It's been like a perennial problem for them, and it's something that they're hoping to address. David Fry is going to come back, but mostly as a DH. And they've got a prospect named Chase DeLauder who has been frequently injured, but he could be someone who helps them in the second half as well. I expect they too will be buyers, but kind of like the Cardinals, probably not willing to expend too much to make a big run. They've got Shane Bieber coming back for the rotation. They need him, and he's on a good track right now, so hopefully that goes well. But right now, I just see them as doing what they normally do, which is kind of assessing all aspects of the market and then hoping things go okay.
Even after last season, even after how close they got last season and they have a powerhouse bullpen, they still wouldn't make that move to push them over the limit.
The Guardians are never going to be in that position. And they are a low revenue team that acts according to their revenues. Unlike some teams that we criticize for not spending enough money, they actually seem to be in a position where they can't spend all that much money. Could they spend more? Yes, they could spend more. Don't get me wrong. But they operate in a pretty restricted way. And hey, it served them well. They've done a great job with it. But are they going to do something monstrous at the deadline? No, that's not what they've normally done. Remember a couple of years ago, they traded Savali for Kyle Manzardo. And Kyle Manzardo at that time was a prospect, but he ultimately now is helping them. So I don't know what kinds of moves they're going to make. They don't have the pitching depth to move a starter right now. They need a starter, if anything, need an outfielder as well. I would expect them to operate on the margins as they generally do and maybe pick up something, but I don't know that it's going to be terribly dramatic.
Okay, Ken, we've given a lot of attention to the Orioles in the past week, warranted with what's going on there. I'll also try to spin this one forward. Could they be the belle of the ball, to take a term from Fair Territory, at the trade deadline? You know, you have the bottom feeder teams that don't necessarily have many assets, and then you just have many teams that are close enough in range that it gets weird at the trade deadline, and you almost feel like they're day-to-day deciding things. The Orioles might be one of those teams where it's like, we have assets, we are not good, let's load up for next year. So what does that look like?
I totally agree with you, Scott, and they can be pretty dramatic buyers, quite honestly. Felix Bautista, 2 years of control left beyond this year, making only $1 million, relatively speaking, only this year. I would expect that he would be someone who could bring something back pretty good. Zach Eflin, potential free agent. Tomoyuki Shigano, potential free agent. Cedric Mullins, potential free agent. All of these players should have some appeal in the market. For rentals, are you going to get a ton? Probably not, but they certainly can do some things. And I'm not even talking about Ryan Mountcastle, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Andrew Kittredge. There are a whole bunch of players that they could move. Now, how Mike Elias approaches this could be interesting because I can't imagine he wants to take too far a step back. So potential free agents would be the way to go here and the things that you would most likely trade. Bautista, maybe you're more reluctant, but he can bring the most because he's a reliever, under control, and affordable. So it's going to be interesting. Their situation is one where ultimately their window already is closing as their young players get closer to free agency. They're not that close yet, but each year, closer to arbitration, make more money, closer to free agency, possibly depart. And now you're going to take a step back. That's going to be difficult for them. But at the same time, I don't know what other choice that they have, given that they have a number of expiring contracts and they're going nowhere.
You mentioned Sagano. They also mentioned that they wanted to make a hit in the Japanese market. They wanted to make their case for, hey, bringing a player over. Good way to do that is by bringing a veteran over and a veteran saying, man, I love playing in Baltimore. A bad way to do that is, I love playing in Baltimore, but they traded me in July, so I had to learn a whole brand new city.
This is an interesting question, too. And I raised this in my notes column as well. You're trying to establish a footing in that market. You signed Shigano, who's a very accomplished pitcher over there, 35 years old, one of their best. And it goes like this. Now, they sold him on the quality of the team and the idea that they could help him improve, and he's done really well. He's been one of their few bright spots. But if you trade him, sure, it's a dent, and it raises the question, if you're a Japanese player, I would imagine, why would I go there? This is a situation that is not as good as even Shigano thought. So there is that, but there's also the reality that why would you keep him just to keep him if you're going to lose 80 to 90 to 100 games? That doesn't make much sense either. So I can see the logic for trading him, but the whole experience, not playing well as a team, him ultimately perhaps getting traded, that's not exactly the way to plant the flag over in Japan.
A couple fan questions on your way out here, Ken. I'll go to the Blue Jays. Reagan says, where will Bo Bichette get traded to? I'll counter that and say, do we really think Bo Bichette's going to get traded? I imagine the Blue Jays are going to hold on for dear life, and they have to be really far out of it if they're going to be sellers at the deadline. They're in second place in the division right now. They're within striking distance of a wild card. And Ken, that probably will be the case the rest of the ride here. The American League is not as strong as the NL, so you can be 500 and probably be in striking distance.
They're over 500 right now. They just swept Seattle and San Diego, two good teams. And they have been talking as a team, if you read the articles about the Jays, as if the vibe is better. They are more, I don't know the right word to describe it, but they're in a better place overall. They just feel good about themselves. They feel like they're not out of any game. All of these cliches that you always hear. So for them, it's put up or shut up because this is Bichette's last year. And I don't see them selling unless they absolutely fall out of it. Remember, They were adamant about keeping Bichette and Guerrero when he was unsigned, and they ultimately signed Guerrero. They didn't want to ever give up on this season. So I don't expect them to give up on this season unless something goes really wrong.
I want to ask a little bit here. It's been going around. It's been circling around baseball, whether it's true or not. Paul Skenes traded, likely or unlikely? What do you think? What have you heard? Is this just all nothing?
Unlikely. And the general manager of the Pirates, Ben Cherington, said yesterday to reporters that no, it's not even something that's in their thought process. The reason it's going around is because writers like myself are speculating. And let's face it, the Pirates are going nowhere. Skenes is a depreciating asset, 4 more years of control after this one, and he's never going to sign there long term. So you wonder when the right time is. But for a variety of reasons that I discussed on Fair Territory yesterday and mentioned in my column today, I just can't see it happening. One reason is Sherrington's status beyond this season is unclear. He very well could lose his job. And if he's going to lose his job, and if that thought is in the owner's head, Bob Nutting, well, why would you trust him to trade your franchise pitcher? That doesn't make much sense. The other part of his, or the other two parts of it, are matching up in value. Skenes has extreme value. Remember, Juan Soto was traded with 3 pennant races remaining, and you know what he brought back along with Josh Bell to the Washington Nationals. Gore and Wood and C.J. Abrams plus. Skenes has 5 pennant races remaining. It would take that much more to get him, and I don't know many teams that could do it. And finally, the message they would send as an organization. Even if you could make a great trade for Paul Skenes, their fans, they're dealing with their 7th straight losing season. So how many are you going to lose in a row, losing seasons, until this team finally is good again? Now, what they should do, and I mentioned this as well, is build around Skenes. But of course, with Bob Nutting as their owner, I have zero faith that that's going to happen.
Yeah, they're in a tough spot. All right, last one. This is super chat. It's a follow-up to this on Cherington. Daniel, who's an avid Fair Territory watcher and listener, said, if the Pirates do end up switching GMs, he said, he's pleading, can it be from a small market team, saying we need someone who's done this before, and that Cherington was coming from bigger markets? Do you think that's a factor in a case like this? Or in my mind, the Pirates are such a unique situation because you're just not able to partake in free agency. So even for the teams that tank, like even the Guardians, the Rays, right? Guardians picking up Carlos Santana, Rays picking up Ha-Seong Kim this offseason. Those are decent sized deals, at least for one season. The Pirates rarely even play ball like that.
That's true. When I heard the question that you were just mentioning, Scott, I immediately thought of the Marlins. And the Marlins are somewhat similar to the Pirates. They don't play in free agency. And what did they do when they needed a new GM? They went to Peter Bendix, who, of course, came from the Rays. I do expect, or believe, I should say, that the best solution for them would be a GM with small market experience. And it's not that Ben Cherington couldn't do that. I know he worked in Boston and Toronto before, but he certainly was capable. But that said, if you have that background, if you're used to operating on the margins, if you're used to relying on drafting and development, as Cherington has tried to be, but just has not succeeded with, then I think you would have that much more of an advantage if you just know the landscape a little bit better. So I'm not saying they should hire from the Marlins or necessarily even the Rays, but it would seem to me that if you could get a bright person from one of those types of clubs, a smaller market, lower revenue team, that would probably be the way to go, unless there's somebody with one of the larger markets that is just so good you think he could do it for you under the crazy restrictions that they're under.
Ken, great stuff. Enjoy your Dodgers-Mets game and call with AJ along for the ride on Fox on Saturday on this holiday winter weekend in the Northeast. If you know, you know. Bundle up. I'll be outside a lot this weekend too, and not pleased about it, but it is what it is, Ken.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right, FT fam, we'll be right back. We're actually, first off, Fair Territory for you. Yesterday's episode dives deeper into the Paul Skenes to-trade or not to-trade scenario with Lana and Ken. When we come back, we're going to talk about an ex-player recently retired who's actually suing a current team over a potential career-ending injury. So we'll get to that. Also, if you're in the Northeast, bundle up. It is not 75 degrees.
Scott, you need to check out this Roback hoodie I have. It's 85 plus degrees here in Florida. Look, lightweight, feels great, cool colors, perfect for those hot Florida days.
I agree, AJ. Color looks fire. And you can get your own sweatshirt, polo, hoodie. Go check out Roback. And if you do and you're a first-time customer, Roback.com using the code FOUL gets you 20% off your first purchase. RHOBACK.com, code FOUL. Get after it, FT fam. Wow. Big tweet to show you that I'm sure AJ wishes he could talk about as well. It's related to the Pittsburgh Pirates. We just spoke about them at the tail end of that conversation. The Pittsburgh Pirates last night scored more than 4 runs for the first time, Todd Bother, since April 22nd, snapping a 26-game streak. That was a month ago. So when you consume our show in the offseason, and most of us say, Pirates still stink, offense isn't going to get it done, and you see this play out and their season's already over and they're already working on their second manager this season, this is why.
Imagine betting all those games that they wouldn't score 3.5 runs. I mean, that would be – someone would be pretty rich. I mean, somebody probably did it for a couple of dimes or whatever. Kratzy, did you do it?
No, it was the last like 10 days I've been watching it. The number's it's been too high. It's been too high. Now they haven't gotten 4 every time, but
no, I got you. But yeah, listen.
4.5 though. The under on 4.5 hit for a month straight.
Yeah, that's remarkable. But listen, you could tell it was just going south right from the get-go. And this is what always happens. And we always talk about how the Pirates come out strong. Yeah, they did okay in their first upcoming this year, but it's the blame game. You know, they blame one person. They blame this guy. You know, we're not spending. You know, everybody is too much money, and that's just the way it goes. You know, even when I was there, it was off. And you know, there's a bunch of good people there that are playing the game, which I love and still respect, but it's not where it should be, and it starts from the top all the way to the top.
They currently have 0 players with an OPS over 783.
What's the beef? Nothing like a good steak with some red vino. That one looks a little too rare for me. I don't even know if that one was cooked. That was on the screen. But anyway, yeah, it's not. Let's get to this interesting story. There's been some lawsuits this week. What do you think about this one, guys? And I think, did you play with Darin Ruf? Kratz? You did? Okay.
In the bushes and in the big leagues. Yep.
Okay. So he's suing the Cincinnati Reds over what he calls a career-ending injury at Great American Ballpark. He's claiming that when he crashed into an uncovered tarp roller at the ballpark 2 years ago, it caused permanent and substantial deformities to his knee. He went on the 60-day IL, never played in the major leagues again, did attempt to come back, I think, the next spring training, but never made it back. I don't think there's past precedent on anything like this. And I was trying to read as much as I could. I'm no lawyer, but the lawsuit filed in Ohio charges that the team had negligence in failing to maintain safe field conditions and specifically cites the presence of the unpadded metal tarp roller. We're actually showing you the exact play, and it looks covered, but not padded. So I want to hear player perspective on what you expect. Obviously, none of us are going to be able to chime in too much on the lawsuit side of things, but what you expect on the field. I mean, Kratz, I'll bring this up too before you jump. remember Aaron Judge, what was it, 2-3 years ago? Misses half the season after there wasn't full padding in the outfield at, I think, Dodger Stadium. I know Bryce Harper's gotten pretty messed up early on in his career somewhere where it was like very unpadded against the out-of-town scoreboard. So can you pad everything? I mean, we're not playing in a bubble. And do you, like, which side of the story here do you feel is more warranted?
I mean, I'm going to go on the side of Ruf's side of the story. Like, we're not talking about Aaron Judge slamming through a wall that he bent. Well, I mean, the door that he bent and then his toe hit the concrete. Like, it's almost impossible. We're talking about something like, wasn't Slade Heathcott? Come up with it for me, Scott. The prospect who got traded from the Yankees. Dustin Fowler. Dustin Fowler. Yeah. We're talking about a electrical box that wasn't padded and essentially ruined his career. Yes, he had to hit when he came back, and he didn't. But you're talking about a speed guy with a lot of potential. This is this kind of situation. That should have been padded, covered. The tarp is always there. The tarp is an obstruction that the Dodgers don't even have a tarp on their field. Obviously, they don't need it very much. But it is out there all the time. It needs to be – players need to be protected. And this is negotiated, all that stuff. So to me, I don't see how he doesn't win this suit. But obviously, I don't know medical issues. I don't know law issues. But a player should not get injured on something that is in almost every ballpark.
Hold up. Before Toddfather goes, I don't think we've seen past precedent of anyone winning this. And if it does, you are opening up Pandora's box. I'm not trying to defend the other side. I'm just like presenting a case here of what I read. I mean, fans, players, anybody, right, can bring up anything and say, this caused a problem for me. You know, I know it has to be reasonable, but there are other cases, and that even includes foul balls, right? I mean, the league has put up netting, but you can get hit by a baseball, and there have been 1 or 2 deaths in that case in the past, 10, 20 years. And I don't think there was much to it in the court of law, and they try and put the warnings out there and say, we're doing the best we can. They warn them. I mean, you don't think there's any types of warnings, and also just like when you're playing that you can get hurt in many different scenarios?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can get hurt in different scenarios. Like if you step on a sprinkler head or something like that, now the sprinklers it's not the same. But yeah, I guess there's no precedent of somebody getting. But to me, why would there not be some type of padded protection? Because if you hit the tarp area, if you hit the tarp of the tarp that's rolled up, you would be fine. It could hurt, but a metal shard that slices your kneecap, a little different.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't even remember this happening. That's as terrible as that sounds. I don't even remember this happening, but, you know, I know Darin Ruf was a beast. This guy could play. He's talking about permanent and substantial deformities to his knee. So that's that's the claim there. So that he has substantial evidence for sure. If he's got permanent and substantial deformities, I'm no lawyer. I don't know anything about that stuff, but when you hear permanent and deformities, for me, I guess, you know, it's something that you have to try out. It's something hard. It's very hard to figure out. It's the weirdest thing because baseball's a crazy sport. You don't think of contact all the time. You know, if he would have went maybe 2 inches to his right or left, like, would it change anything? So that's the tough part. I feel bad for him. I just feel for the guy right now, you know, because he still probably wants to play, even though he's an older cat at the end of the day. But yeah, I don't know what happens next. But I know, you know, this is going to go on for a little bit.
Yeah, I'd love to hear a legal perspective because with cases like this, they are looking at the past. They are looking at things that we just don't have law degrees for. Just from my take, Kratz, I still think it's going to be a tough case. Even though, yeah, I'm on his side. Like, it's not difficult to put padding on a tarp. It should be pretty common sense. And also it takes up a huge chunk of foul territory. But I don't know, you could start to really nitpick. Hey, there was a divot in the grass. I stepped in it wrong. I shredded up my knee. They should have cleaned that up.
unforeseen. You couldn't see that coming. You can see that the tarp has a sharp end or a padded end to it. Ultimately, it probably gets settled out of court. No proceed or no whatever judgment comes down, so that there is no past precedent moving forward.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to make it like I'm not on Darin's side, so I am on his side, right? Like, put padding where you should put padding so guys don't get hurt. But I don't know. I just know it's tough with cases like this, and I feel like I've seen like fans trying to state a case about an issue, and maybe it gets settled so we just don't know about it. It gets settled out of court. I do think often people look at things and say, especially if you're a team, do I really want to go at it with a former player in public, pay for the lawyers, whatever? And also, if you do and you do lose, that's when you do open up Pandora's box. So anyway, maybe we can bring on Darin or a lawyer or somebody like that to try and get more info on this.
Like the Rockies player who got hit by a foul ball and is suing the team because he got hit by a foul ball, and he said they weren't worth watching and paying attention to the game, so it's dangerous.
That's a real thing, by the way. That was a real story this week. That's also a tough case if you're in court saying,
yeah, but it's
they
funny.
suck so much I don't want to watch them. Yeah, it got attention because of that. That's why it hit some headlines. Anyway, hey, let's swing back. We've got Ryan Walker, super reliever with the San Francisco Giants, joining us next on FT. If you're a card collector or you'd like to get into card collecting, may I suggest Arena Club and slab packs, which means that you can rip the packs digitally and, of course, get the card that you want. It's also the most trusted name in the game, and I would rather rip packs these days on my phone than sit next to you and have you grabbing one of my physical packs if I was grabbing one.
Yeah, you don't need me grabbing your packs, because last time you grabbed one, it ended up like this card. So let's not have that, and that's why Arena Club is great. They send them to you in these fancy protectors like this Scout Braun card that we have here, and they'll come safe. They're already graded. Or you could do like I do and just leave my cards in the showroom and never actually see them physically.
Yeah.
But they're safe, protected, and if I want to sell them, I can.
Buy, sell, trade. They offer full transparency, showing every card in the slab pack with the likelihood of pulling each one, so you know exactly what's available before you buy. Get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/FAL and use code FAL. This is in the spreading rumors category, but I feel like you don't report this unless you feel pretty good about it. Bruce Levine talking about the Chicago Cubs being the winner of the 2027 All-Star Game sweepstakes. So this year is in Atlanta, next year is in Philadelphia, and I haven't seen this report from anywhere else, but he did clarify the breaking news with a follow-up tweet and said the All-Star Game will be awarded to the Cubs sometime this summer. MLB wants each city to have 2 years planning for the event, Derby, FanFest, etc. He said sources told me Chicago will get a windfall of 250 to 300. I'm assuming that means million.
No, 250 to 300. That's Bruce for you. Come on, Bruce. Finish what you're talking about, man. And he forgot the period and separate in summer.mlb. There's no such thing.
Maybe he got hacked.
Oh,
maybe he got hacked.
Hey, maybe, but you got it. You got to finish it. 250 to 300. That's awesome. Good for the guy.
That's like when you get a letter in the mail. You have won 1 million monies from this. Just send me 500 American dollars in gift cards, and I will. And you're like, wow, really? 1 million monies? Come on, Bruce. $250 to $300. That will be a fun home run derby in Wrigley Field. They have to postpone it until the wind is blowing out, or else it will suck.
They need the wind machine. They need wind machines to blow the baseball out.
They have those in Toronto. They're pointing in the wrong direction.
We've got Ryan Walker from the San Francisco Giants joining us right now. Super reliever. Ryan, great to have you on, first of all. But can I call you closer? Like, how do you like to get introduced? Obviously, you've done a lot of closing for the ball club. How do you like to get introed?
It doesn't matter to me, honestly. I always personally say reliever because saying closer sounds kind of arrogant. I don't know why for me.
What about super reliever?
If you want to say that, that's fine by me.
No,
Why
you got
no,
to say
Kratz?
closer. You got to say closer. And it's not
I
arrogant.
know. I don't know. It's something in me that doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, but now they're going to take this when you go to arbitration and they're going to say, well, you actually went on this really super esteemed show, Foul Territory, with ex-player guests, and you didn't want to associate yourself with being a closer, so we're going to diminish your value. No, you say I'm a closer, you get a shirt that says I'm a closer. Don't get a tattoo because you never know. Starters make way more in free agency, so there's that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
How much do you like closing? I mean, when you come into the game in the ninth inning, like how much of a rush is it? How much is it something maybe that you looked forward to your entire pitching life?
I mean, I love it. Yeah, it's a position I want to be in. I honestly never thought I would ever be in this position, to be honest with you. Just I don't know why. I never saw it on my cards, but yeah, it's definitely a dream position for sure. Now being in it, it can definitely suck at some points more than other jobs in the bullpen, but it's also very rewarding at the same time.
Wait, why do you say that? Why do you say you never saw yourself in this position?
I don't know. I've never really been like this massive goal guy. I've been more so just tiny goals, and my only goal in the big leagues, to be honest, was to keep a job and have a job. I don't care where it is. We've had Duvey as the closer as well. You know what I mean? And obviously, I never wish any ill season upon him, but so there, it's never been in my mind. But obviously, cards fell the way they did, and it worked out for me to be in the position, and I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, and you took advantage of the situation. You absolutely put yourself on the map to be that closer. What is the difference in your heart rate, your feeling, or how hard it is for you to get up for a game when you come in the eighth, when you come in the ninth? How different is it for you?
It's very different. I've always described it as my first time closing was like my debut all over again. You're in just such a different atmosphere. The crowd's a lot louder. You're almost always facing the top of the order or the heart of the order, and especially when you're only up by one, it's like it really gets your heart pumping. You're up by one, you're facing Judge, and it's like, all right, let's hunker down here. But that's what makes it fun. You use that to your advantage, and you get a little extra edge out of it too.
I want to ask a little bit about some of your teammates here. I play with a guy as well, Wilmer Flores. I mean, this guy is a guy you don't want to see late in the game because he's absolutely dominant. Talk a little bit about him and his leadership role and what he brings to the team and how he's helping his squad prosper.
Yeah, I mean, Wilmer's great. He's got a great at bat along with a good eye too. He's very dangerous at the plate. As a leader, he's a quiet leader. He leads by example, and when he speaks up, everyone listens. He's an awesome guy to have around, and obviously he's been around the game for a very long time, so a really good guy to learn from for the younger hitters too. But man, yeah, seeing him at the plate so far has been awesome. I don't know. It was pretty shocking to me in our A series when they walked yes to get to flow. We were all like, all right, I mean, we'll take it too, I guess. Like we'll take our best hitter currently at the plate with bases loaded. And it obviously worked out not even by his bat, but by his eye. So he's been a huge part of this team.
When you sit down in that bullpen in San Francisco and it gets colder and colder, do you kind of wish you were in another city? Not that the city isn't awesome, but how cold it is just randomly. Certain nights you're like, oh my gosh.
Not necessarily. We got a heated bench down there. and that's hot. It gets so hot that you can't even sit on it. So I mean, we're pretty warm down there, and it really makes up for all of it. Um, I don't know. I don't think I would. I mean, I like playing at that stadium, even if it is cold. Like, it's just a fun atmosphere to be in. So I've always enjoyed it.
All right, for everybody who hasn't seen you pitch, obviously they don't watch baseball, but you have a unique delivery. Can anybody else
Yeah.
warm up at the same time as you? Because from what I remember of that new bullpen, you can't throw on the right mound. Am I correct, or have they expanded it for you?
They haven't expanded it for me, but yeah, I typically stay on the left side of the mound. Otherwise, there are some places, I don't know where, but I will definitely fall off the edge. We actually have a room in between mounds. Most places do, to where we can both throw. Um, so that's never really been an issue.
Okay, all right. A little bit of off field. I got some inside information.
Yeah,
Are you good at remembering people's names on your team?
on my team currently,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Okay.
think so. Yeah,
Okay. Then why did it take you an entire year to know what your agent's actual name was?
my agent's name. Oh, yeah. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. I just thought he was a different name. Okay, it's not like I
Okay.
forgot it. I've always known of a name. It was just the wrong name.
Okay. So you got bad information early. All right. So
Yeah,
my
yeah.
next his name is Alex, and you thought his name was Dave for about a year. He told me he thought it would be a funny story. But
Yeah.
along with that, who is the best athlete in your family?
In my family, um, me,
Your
I
wife's
think.
not?
Uh, sorry, I was thinking literally my immediate family.
Oh,
No,
no,
my
no,
wife
sorry.
is definitely more athletic than me. That's not even a question.
Could you beat her? Could you beat her in volleyball?
No shot.
How good
No
is
way.
she?
We've played. I mean, she's elite. We've played together, and it never works out in my favor. Um, we'll play in volleyball every once in a while, and she'll just make a fool of me. Um, but she's elite. I mean, you see her college stats, and she's got these records, and she was just such a leader on the court as well. Um, I couldn't amount to her.
Ryan, I'm going to jump in here because there were we got a lot of like college athletes. We got minor leaguers, high schoolers that watch and listen to this show, and of
Hmm.
course we talk about velocity and spin and all this stuff, right? That's a big part of the game today. But I do
Hmm.
want to get your perspective on how important it is to have deception, how underrated that can be. The two words for me that stand out with someone like you: deception and variety, right? Even
Hmm.
if you don't
Hmm.
throw 103, and I know a lot of kids are being judged by velocity because that's the easiest way to evaluate talent, you can thrive and succeed, and teams are looking for deception. They're looking for a bullpen that has a bunch of guys that
Hmm.
do things super differently. So that was my layman term explanation. How do you describe that for a lot of pitchers,
Yeah.
young pitchers out there?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it does play a huge role in your delivery. Again, like you said, people don't ever really talk about it, I feel like it's not like a main stat, like you said. But I've known plenty of pitchers who don't throw hard. I mean, I got a buddy with the Diamondbacks in the minor leagues, throws 88 to 90, but he blows it by people like he's throwing 99 because his deception is just unreal. Um, so I think having that deception is very important. I think it is hard to, I don't know how teachable it is sometimes. I feel like it could be pretty hard to teach. Um, depending on the delivery. But yeah, if you can figure a way to keep that ball hidden as long as possible, whether it's using your leg or being a little crossfire, whatever it is. Like, I think it brings a lot more to the table than you would expect, for sure. Because now you're perceiving, like, even if you threw 91, yeah, like I said, 291, but your deception is really good. Like, that's perceived completely different to the hitter. So
Yeah, and that's part of it too. So I mean, as a hitter, when I played, I used to go. You see a guy that's not throwing as hard. You're like, oh man, this is the guy that pays the bills, and that guy usually dominated me, of course. And
mhm.
that's part of lack of not knowing. That's part of being humbled. That's part of being a veteran and seeing more stuff. Talking about veterans, I want to talk a little about Justin Verlander. He has a nerve problem in his pec going on right now. Have you had good conversations with him about pitching, and has he been a pretty good leader so far with the team?
Yeah, I think he's been a great leader with the team. I personally haven't had a lot of pitching conversations with him, but I know other guys have, and he's just a valuable guy to have around the clubhouse to learn from. He's done it longer than anybody, so he's been very valuable to us. Um, I've definitely talked to him a few times. The last time I talked to him was just an apology for blowing his game. It was for the second time, um, which I felt pretty bad about. But he's a professional. He gets it. We're all trying our best out there, and it's just he handled it. He handles it so well. A lot of knowledge to be picked from him.
What was his response when you apologized to him?
That's what he said. I said, "Hey man, like I'm sorry. Like this sucks. Like obviously I'm not trying to do that." His response was just like, "Hey man, don't worry about it. Like I know you're trying your best out there. Like it is what it is. Like and that meant a lot to me. Obviously, I knew he wasn't gonna just blow me up. He's not that kind of a guy. But I'm hearing that from him. Just kind of made me feel more confident for the next time the opportunity arises, and not be so worried about it being his day. It was handled very professionally, and said he's a great dude to have around.
Hey, Ryan, last one from me. So yeah, Verlander's added
Mhm.
to the mix here. Adames added to the mix here. You've got a lot of the guys from last year who've taken a good step up too. But what about the
Mhm.
impact of having Buster Posey really with a strong voice in this organization now, right? You're able to see the transition here. What's it like to have
Mhm.
someone who, first of all, is an absolute legend, right? He is a San Francisco Giants legend as a human being. He knows this franchise in and out. What's it been like? I mean,
Mhm.
do you have combos with him? Are there things that he's talked about that you feel like have made a difference? I know talking to some people around the organization that right around spring training, I want to say he talked to the team like, we are going to play fundamental ball, do things right, and reward the people that do that. Did
Mhm.
that resonate?
Yeah, for sure. It's brought a lot of relaxation around the organization, in my opinion. Um, Having someone with such a massive baseball amount of baseball knowledge and also be able to run the team well is huge. And he's very personable, which is nice. He doesn't walk around like he's not approachable or you can't talk to him because he makes the decisions. He's there to talk to you if you need to. Um, when I was going through my little stint of rough outings, it was me, him, and Bob talking about it, and the fact that he's there and understands is huge. Um, we're not playing the game of sending people up, sending people down, and changing the team chemistry all the time. He doesn't seem to be a big believer in that, and he really believes in his guys he has right now, which is awesome. It's been a huge change for everybody, honestly.
All right, last one from me here. Hayden Birdsong had 16 or 17 starts, I think, last year. And then he comes
Hmm.
to the bullpen. Is it hard to try to transition even younger pitchers or less experienced pitchers into the bullpen and like just the lifestyle of people yelling at them? Because starters sit in a dugout, they kind of live more of a
Hmm.
pampered life. Did you guys get
Hmm.
on Birdsong for being down there? And then all of a sudden, this dude absolutely deals when he's coming out of the pen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it just depends on the guy. I think Birdie handled it really well. Obviously, the warm-up routine and everything is thrown out the window. You got to be ready in an instant. But I think the team also did a pretty good job on making sure he was prepared to get the job done. There wasn't a lot of quick, like, "Hey, Bird, you need to be ready in 10 pitches." They handled it really well, and Birdie's just a guy who doesn't, he just wants to pitch and he wants to compete and do well. So wherever that position is, I think he also feeds off the energy of the people trying to make fun of him out here and make fun of us in the bullpen. Like it's more of like all right, cool. Like this is getting me even more prepared for the game. So keep doing it. He's been handling it really well, and obviously, yeah, he was dealing, and now he's back to starting and dealing again. So.
Well, Ryan, this was great. Hope you enjoyed it. Really appreciate the time. Great to have you on here for a chat. Good luck the rest of the way here. Thanks for joining us, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Ryan Walker with us on FT. Be right back. All right, we're back, FT fam. We'll give this one a couple minutes. Obviously, I don't want to give it too much time, just more based on the trolls that cause the situations here with players. Liam Hendriks, friend of the show, on Instagram posting that he's gotten death threats from fans. This is a week after Lance McCullers Jr. was posting about that as well. You call it whatever you want, Twitter muscles, social media muscles. I mean, people send ridiculous things, and hopefully authorities are able to find those people. So he laid it out. I think it's important to do this because I know a lot of players deal with this, Todd Father, abuse of some kind. This is like kind of the ultimate on the verbal abuse side. But I do see some players being a little more transparent about this now because maybe they're frustrated that it happens and not a lot gets done. So if you at least publicize it, it can get talked about within the public sphere. And hopefully, people get pissed. Things actually do happen. There's more public pressure to make sure that, I don't know what the laws are and whatever else. I know you can't death threat people. That's a freaking crime.
No, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. I had one when I was playing with the White Sox, and I called our security up right away. They figured out. I actually found out who the person was, and it was kind of scary. It brought in some family members too as well. You don't ever want to hear that. That's like your worst nightmare. I feel terrible for both these guys, McCullers and Hendriks. I don't think it's right. I think it's unfair. It's just something else on your mind when you lay on your pillow at night knowing that this son of a gun, whomever it is, girl, boy, whatever it is, wrote this and has the audacity to say that. Now it's on your mind everywhere you go. You got to go on the road and your family doesn't come with you. Now what? It's scary. It's really scary, and you wish this never happened. People sometimes need to get a grip in life and understand, like, everybody's human. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's cowardice. It's just like, and people say, "Oh, it doesn't affect you." It affects people because you question who's really that pissed that one they would tweet that to you. Two, you see a lot of people. It makes you just step back, and unfortunately, this is why stars sometimes don't put themselves out there to be connected with fans. It's sad.
Hey, let's talk about a tough strike zone in Colorado yesterday. Jonathan Parra, the home plate umpire, according to Matt Gelb, said might have the worst strike zone that he has seen all season. You saw the scorecard, Kratz? Did it back it up?
No. That's why I looked it up, because Matt Gelb, he's rating. I even went into the scoring, and the scoring for the game wasn't awful. I'm trying to pull it up here to get you the numbers, but the scoring for the game wasn't awful, and his scoring for the season wasn't awful. Yes, the pitch that he called, that Marchand tried to, his score for that game was, he was 94% called strike, 94% called ball. Obviously, we're making a glaring, that was glaring. And to me, if you watch that, Jonathan, the umpire, look how far in he sets up. He's almost in off the inside corner. He's never going to be able to see that pitch away, especially coming from a lefty. He assumed that was going to be a strike. The worst part, he did it to Hunter Goodman, his catcher. Like, come on, guy. Like, if you're going to ring somebody up, ring up a third baseman or something. Like a third baseman that can touch it. Catchers? Come on. Maybe Goodman wasn't catching that day. I didn't see the lineup, but man, his scores throughout the season aren't that bad. This is just a egregious.
Right. It gets fixed next year, Godfather. That's my one thing.
It gets fixed next year. Come on, man.
It does.
Oh, no, I love the human element, Scott. I love the human element. That's what I love.
Right. I'm sick of
this
these
is the
catchers.
big dog out there.
Top Father, these catchers with the, it's out here. And they try and do it on every pitch right now. Some pitches like 8 feet off the plate, and they're like,
Listen.
Get him?
Yeah, he got him. Terrible. I got like a hair in my mouth. Excuse me. Listen.
Not mine.
Listen. Here's my problem with umpires. And I've talked to Joe Torre about this because I had an argument. I said something after an interview about how bad, one of the umpires was back in the day. He's like, man, you can't do that. I'm like, well, explain something to me, Joe. Why do umpires set up so far inside on the plate? Why don't they set up directly in the middle point so they can see whether it's an outside strike or an inside strike? And his point was, well, the foul balls come back to the middle and umpires been getting hit in the head, which understandable. I think they can get hit with a foul ball in either spot, but I guess it's more unlikely to hit them if they're on the inner part. So if say I'm on the inside, look, I'm on TV, now I'm on the inner part. Let's look here. This is a guess. You're guessing right now. If that's a strike or a ball, if the catcher catches it right here, you are guessing whether it's a strike or ball. Now, if he catches it here, you're guessing if it's a strike or ball. So it's hard, and that is the human element. But that was just really bad call. So I don't know. Not sure.
The answer is tap, tap, tap on the head next year, and we fix it.
Todd doesn't want it.
Tap, tap.
No.
Tap, tap. I do want it. I want that, but I don't want anything else. I don't want any other crap. Check swing, baloney. What the heck is that? No, that's it. That's it.
But just to clarify, you're good with what's going to happen next year, which is that call getting challenged and getting fixed because he wasn't in position to make a play.
3 strikes, 3 challenges. That's it.
But what if you get it right?
They're not going to agree with me.
Well, wait. No, I am going to agree with you. I'm just saying.
No, not you.
Challenges, I'm good. Oh,
okay. MLB might not agree with me.
No, they do. 3 challenges, you're good. But here's the only difference. For example, umpire auditor, which is it's umpire, scorecard, and auditor. Those are the 2 accounts that track all this stuff. Yesterday, Yanks win 1-0. 16 missed calls in the game. 12 of them go against the Rangers. If the Rangers are really on their game, they're going to head tap 12 times and get them right and keep going. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, there's probably some close calls.
Yeah,
but
my
point is,
if
they
you
might
get
have
it wrong,
head
if you get it
taps in the
wrong,
game.
it goes away, right? If you get it wrong, you lose 1. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, listen, you could have 15 tap ins, and guess what? That's fair. Fine. That changes the whole game. That's okay. I'm fine with that, but don't change. And I don't want anything else. I don't want to all of a sudden, this worked out really good. We don't need an umpire behind home plate anymore. Now that's ridiculous. So I don't want that at all.
That's fair. It's going to make them better though, Todd. So you're describing how Parra wasn't set up correctly for that pitch, right? Well, if teams keep picking on him and he misses those and teams keep head tapping him and all of a sudden he's getting blasted for 15 challenges that go against him, he's going to have to get better because that's like an umpire strikeout.
Now we talk about accountability. That's one step forward for umpires. Yeah, for sure.
It's a training session. Right now, The call's the
I'd be-
call.
And I'd be a little embarrassed too if I'm back there. God, man, they just challenged 10 and got 9 out of 10 right. Ooh, all right, let's lock it in here. You know what I'm saying?
100%. That's the part that I like. Is it is
Yeah.
going to bring better quality, so you don't have as many challenges. You're going to have to fix that if there's an issue. So let's hit the Rockies, because we didn't really talk about them this week, but it's hard to avoid. They're still at 8 wins on the season. So
Oh my God.
50-game start of 8-42, worst in the modern era since 1901. Previous record they beat was actually recent, the 2023 A's, back when they were in Oakland. 10-40 for them. Previous worst start for the Rockies was their expansion year, 14-36. But we have a team, Todd Father, on May 23rd that's in single digits in the W column.
And who do they play today?
They got swept by the Phillies. Now they got the stanky Yankees.
And listen, this is, and I hate to say this is a series where the Colorado Rockies might win 2 out of 3. It's just the way it goes, how this Yankee team's, how they usually go. I'm not saying I don't think it'll happen, but if it does, don't be surprised. Teams come into New York, they're not supposed to win, and eventually they do. It's like a 3-1 game, and you're sitting there like, what just happened? Like, oh, the same old Yankees. Just, if I'm a Yankees fan, which I am, and other Yankee fans, don't think too much into this if they don't win all 3 games. That's all I'm saying.
It's so true. It's so true. Not that it's the Yankees, just that you go in as a fan saying, oh, this team's got 8 wins. How do you even lose a single game to these guys? The reason is they have big leaguers on that team. Maybe they don't have a big league front office, but they have big league players on that team. Dudes that can do things, a pitcher that can throw well, but to win only 8 games in essentially the first month and 2 months of a season is crazy. And that's why they're 2 games up on the worst start since, what was that stat? I forget whatever the stat
1901.
was. That's crazy. And it's awful. And you should have an advantage in Colorado. It's almost like they were like, it's tough to play in Colorado. We're going to fight against that. We're going to make sure it is tough to play in Colorado for us and not the other teams.
Yeah, I mean, even wipe that away, they're just on pace to be the worst team ever. A year after we had the worst team ever. So here's where we're at with some of the bottom feeders. And it's not just a money thing with the Rockies. They've actually spent money at times. They bought Chris Bryant a few years ago. It was the wrong call. So they're making the wrong buys right now. And that's part of the problem here too.
Oh,
my thing is, yeah, that's definitely the manager's fault for making that decision. Sure. My thing is, if I'm watching the series this weekend, Todd Father, likely that you'll see one of them where it's 18-2. Something crazy where they just don't have the big league pitching depth. The A's are actually dealing with that problem right now with their bullpen. Their bullpen's
struggling
getting pretty
right
out of control right now.
They're struggling.
Yeah. So if you start getting through them, then all of a sudden you got one of those 12-2 games, then the position player comes in, and then you get those really lopsided scores. So anyway, that's enough on the bottom feeder. Let's get to a team that is on absolute fire right now. Jeff Fletcher is going to cover some Angels talk with us coming up next. Winners of 7 straight. They're in the wild card mix.
What a heater.
Here we are. We're back. I'm actually going to do this a little earlier in the show today since we might not have time during Slap. Kratz, for those that drop off early on the show on YouTube, shame on you, but also Kratz Hatz.
A little early.
Yeah, why not?
Memorial Day weekend.
Ooh, that's a
Beauty.
beauty. I give that one an A+.
Me too.
With the NL logo too. Like, I wish they still had that. That's beautiful.
I think the little John on the side that they put into the hat sometimes, and then check this out too. Look at the inside brim.
America.
I mean, America all day long. Oh yeah, that's game used, by the way.
I love it. You know what's not game used, Scott?
What?
That mustache he's got going on there. That thing's tough.
That's high school coach used.
Yeah, that. I can't look at him too often. I can't.
I know.
Why
I
we
feel like I'm
separate you
mean.
guys.
I feel like I'm mean with a mustache. Like, I guess I scowl a lot. Like, I have like a scowl face.
No, I
just
feel like
I'm a happy person. I'm a happy
you're-
person.
you're
But the
about to
mustache
start a
makes me
bar
look
fight.
mad.
You're about to start a bar fight or something. It's getting
Is that what it
crazy.
is? And I
Yeah.
can't figure out how to change my face. Like, I gotta be like,
Real talk. You know what's
Oh.
funny? Because I read thousands of comments from fans on different socials. They love talking about Kratz's faces, and the two that they bring up the most, it could not be farther from the truth. Is Kratz like has the resting bitch face, or like looks like he's like in a bad mood. He's one of the nicest people on the planet. And then some people are like, why is that Kratz guy always high? I'm like, he's not high. Neither of those things are true at all. Does not
God,
condone that.
couldn't-
Does not do that.
so I gotta change my face.
Right. Just smile. I think if you
Oh,
smile
yeah.
more, which you do smile a lot, but maybe I think you're a tough guy. Like there's a natural
Word.
toughness to you, even though you're super nice. And so you're just resting. It's not resting, bitch. You're just resting, and it somehow comes out that way. But anyway, back to the hat for a moment. I'm a sucker for Americana. I mean, Memorial Day weekend, USA. Apparently, the real designer of the American flag was Frances Hopkinson. I was like, wasn't it Betsy Ross? But I think she was sewing the flag. Mr. Hopkinson, I think, designed it. He crushed it.
He did.
Hey, we're back with Jeff Fletcher. He covers the Angels for the SoCal News Group. He's joining us. Jeff, good to see you again. And also
Thanks
at this
for having
time, it is great to have you on during a time period where the Angels have won 7 games in a row, really resurrecting themselves from the burial ground, right? Because this is a team that obviously hasn't been good for years. And so when you look at the start that they were off to and see them already, they were in like the 10 below 500 range, you're like, season's done. Let's talk about some trade chips. Let's talk about next year. And then here they come. So how surprising is this and what's happening?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think if you would have just, if I'd have been in like a coma for the first 50 games of the season and just woken up today and looked at the stats, it would not be a surprise. I mean, they're a game under 500. If you look at all the individual players, like nobody is really crazy out of what you would expect. What's been weird is the way they've gotten there, because they started off 8-4. Everybody's like, oh man, maybe they're really good. And then for 3.5 weeks, they were horrendous. Everything went wrong. Everybody was terrible. And then basically they had about 2 weeks where they were a little better. And then they had this last week where just everything went right. They all are on a tear. Everybody's hitting, which has brought all their numbers back to where they should be. So, right now they're 24-25, which is certainly not far out of the range of what you would have thought they would have been. Last year they were bad, but they looked like they should be better. So I figured they were going to be probably a 78 win team, 77, 79, somewhere around there. So 24-25, that's right in line with where they ought to be. Strange journey.
Froze for a sec there, but we're back. You're good.
I'm
You're
here?
good, Top Hunter.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh,
Froze for a quick sec at the tail end.
Yeah, all good. So I want to get into some guys here. Well, first off, let's talk a little about Mike Trout. How's he doing? Where are you seeing him at right now, and expectations for him coming up?
Well, he's been running. He ran at 80% the other day, so I think he's been kind of doing that every other day. Probably today, I would expect he might try to get up to 100%. If that goes well, then he's going to run the bases. And I think once he can run the bases, then he's ready to go. So nobody really wants to give an official time frame, because with Trout, there's times we think he's all ready to come back and then something happens. But if nothing else happens, I would expect to see him within 4 to 7 days from now.
Talk about another guy, Ward, 8 consecutive game with an extra base hit. Talk about his presence and, he's the first Angel to accomplish that feat since Tin Salmon did. And back in 2000, I find that absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. Eight games in a row in extra base hit is not easy to do. And he's a guy that's always been super streaky. And at the end of the year, he ends up with a OPS like 740 to 770. So that's right where he is right now. But it was really bad for a little while. So he's just sort of catching up to where he's supposed to be. And I would expect him to end up around this same level. But I'm sure that's going to be with some big hot and cold streaks between now and the end of the season.
This is the time of year where we start talking about All-Star. Through this hot streak, through the entire season, is Logan O'Hoppe the All-Star, or am I missing somebody else?
Well, Zach Neto is probably the best player right now all around. He missed a couple weeks at the beginning of the season, and there's obviously Bobby Witt Jr. is a pretty good shortstop too, so he's going to be the starter. But, I think either of those guys could make a case. It just sort of depends on how everybody else at those positions is doing. But those are certainly the top two guys right now. And, if Trout comes back, who knows what he would do in a month before the All-Stars are picked. So it'll be interesting to see.
Is this team more fun to watch than other years? Think outside of just the seven-game winning streak. Think of it like an entire, why an Angels fan would come to see a 500 team. If the hot streaks, low streaks, they end up as a 500 team. Are they more fun to watch? Are the Angels as an organization putting a better product out on the field?
Well, I mean, I think it depends how much you buy the young guys. So like Neto, O'Hoppe, Nolan Shonowell has been better lately. Jack Kohanowitz and Jose Soriano in the starting rotation have been a little up and down. If those kind of guys, those five guys all are doing well, then you can really have some hope for the team in the long run, regardless of what the record is, at the moment. If they're just good because, Yohan Moncada is on fire, or Jorge Soler gets hot, or even Taylor Ward gets hot, then it's less easy to be excited about it because those guys aren't the long term. So I think that's what it comes down to. Like Neto, O'Hoppe, Shonowell, Kohanowitz, Soriano, that's really the young core. So if those guys are good, then there's hope.
This will probably be perceived as very negative, but you look to the Angels with trade chips at the trade deadline. Obviously, this streak has got everybody thinking buy. I'm still thinking more trade. Is there any give in from Artie Moreno or whoever supersedes the GM at the time from not trading players? In the recent history, they just haven't done a lot of trades that you would think, okay, maybe you could get something for them at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have Kenley Jansen. You could definitely trade him if he's still doing well. The deadline closers tend to get you a pretty good return at the deadline. Yohan Moncada has been great right now, but he's only been healthy for a few weeks, so we'll see what he's doing 2 months from now. Taylor Ward is a guy that he's got a year of control after this year too. So if he continues to hit really well, they definitely could get something for him. Last year they considered trading him, but he really went in a terrible slump right before the deadline, so they didn't really get the offers that they thought were worth making the deal. And Tyler Anderson too is not an ace by any means, but a team that just needs to fill some innings and needs to get to October could be interested in a pitcher like that. So they definitely have some pieces. I think it depends how they look and what the trajectory looks like. As far as a guy like Ward, who you could have for next year too, they'd have to make that judgment like, can we be good in 2026? And if so, do we want to keep Taylor Ward? These other guys are free agents. They don't have to make that decision. So I think that's really the way they're looking at it.
Has the organization or Ron Washington laxed their approach to not DHing Mike Trout because he's going to go in there, as reported, that he goes in there and swings 500 times when he DHs? But now he had another injury. Have they gone back, relaxed a little bit on, maybe we might DH him for the longevity of him this season?
I think that they're open to having him DH. I think that they don't necessarily feel like it's going to be a huge difference in terms of what happens. If he needs the DH to play, that's what's going to happen, and Jorge Soler would go out there every day in right field if that's the option that they have. But, I think that they probably are going to just see how it goes. Certainly if he needs to DH more, that's what's going to happen. If he needs more days off, that's what's going to happen. But before he got hurt, he played every single game, which I don't think anybody expected. So I think if he went into the year and said he's going to, you can get 120 games out of him, they would take that in a heartbeat. And right now, that's still possible, if he comes back soon. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm just saying that they've already built in, 40-some games that he's going to miss. So I think that they're open to whatever gets him on the field the most, basically, in the lineup the most.
Jeff, what did you think when they mentioned how they felt like Trout moving away from center field into the corner was really more of the key, and that they could actually hurt themselves by putting him at DH because he would take so many swings? I mean, Todd Father's buddies with Trout, and I feel like we've kicked this around, even AJ, like, this dude's a pro. He knows that he's had trouble staying on the field. I'm sure he wants to still be out in the field playing corner outfield over DH. But at the same time, I don't think he's going to take 500 swings if he's DHing for the day. He'll get his routine down, but he'll know that he's most valuable if he's given them 4 or 5 at-bats per game. So do you think that was the right call when we look back at the decision to spend pretty big on Soler and kind of block them from having Trout at DH or putting them in a less favorable outfield defense position? And that's been a problem for them at times anyway.
Well, I think, first of all, at the time they had the opportunity to get Soler, it was a pretty reasonable amount of money. And I don't think you, at that point, want to really eliminate players because of Mike Trout, because as we've seen a lot of times, you don't have Mike Trout. So you don't want to go and not get players figuring you're going to have Mike Trout fill this role, and then all of a sudden he's hurt and you don't have him. So I think that this problem that came up, having 2 DHs, is a better problem than having no DHs, which might have been the case if they had not gotten Soler. So as for him taking too many swings, I also thought maybe that's a little not giving Mike enough credit for his own taking care of himself. I think they felt he did that in the past, but I think he's done a lot of things in the past that he's learned from. So I don't know that he would necessarily do that again. I think they just sort of wanted to have some options, and I think that's what getting Soler did for them.
How have they accommodated the media in West Sacramento? I should have asked, were you at Sacramento? Were you at the
Yes,
Sacramento A's Stadium? Okay.
Yeah.
Sutter Field. Did West Sacramento accommodate for you guys?
Yeah, it was nice. I mean, it was a teeny little press box, but it was a great view. It was a little bit of a nuisance to have to walk out to center field to the clubhouse before and after the game. But, there's other ballparks. We were just at Dodger Stadium, and it's a pain in the butt to get to the visitors clubhouse at Dodger Stadium too. So, there are worse things. The field, the players said that the clubhouse and the food and the weight room and all that stuff was better than in Oakland. So I think it's going to be okay. I think the most interesting thing is going to be when it gets really hot in the summer and it gets really windy, is every game going to be 12-10? I think that's going to be an interesting scene. But as far as just the logistics and the amenities, I think they'll be able to make it there for 3 years.
Hey, Jeff, while we're on the clubhouse, we talked about this a couple months ago and haven't checked in on it. So I feel like it's fair to do so now from the media perspective. How has the lack of cell phone usage in the clubhouse looked? Do you see it? And if that's still being implemented, I'm just curious from an inside baseball perspective, inside the clubhouse, what are they doing? Like, are they chatting more? Are they watching TV, playing card games? I mean, I know all that stuff goes on anyway, but curious if you actually see the impact of that. I'm not trying to put wins and losses on it. Some fans are like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm just curious, like, from a lifestyle perspective, what does that look like to take cell phones away from Gen Zers?
Well, that kind of disappeared when the season started. They said that they were going to try to do it throughout the season, but I think it just sort of evaporated. I think in spring training, there are a lot more places that they could go outside of the clubhouse when they wanted to use their phones. In a regular season, there's less space, and so it's just not as logistically workable to do that. And so I think guys are now on their phones in the clubhouse, but they did kind of make a point of saying, like, don't get out of control with it. And if we're seeing that you're not getting what you have to do done because you're scrolling on Instagram, then we're going to have to do something else. And I think it was partly the reason they had it was partly to get them to like communicate with each other, but the other part was just to get them to do something. I mean, I talked to Tyler Anderson one time about it, and he said, there's times where I sit there and I have 5 minutes to kill before I need to go to do a workout or something like that. And I'm just going to sit down and scroll on my phone for 5 minutes. And the next thing you know is 20 minutes. And, there went 15 minutes that he could have been working on something else. So I think that was part of it. But basically now it's the same as it ever was at this point in the season.
That is the job of the phone. Those apps, they know what they're doing. They'll keep you there. I've been there many times. I went in for one thing and I'm like, wait, what was I here for? Wait, I'm watching puppies. What am I doing here? Anyway, who are we not talking about, or what are we not talking about with this team that we should be talking about, right? I mean, our show covers all 30. We're giving love today to the Angels for a great win streak going on. What's a name or just a component of what's going on with this team that you see on an everyday basis and an every game basis that we're not seeing or not talking enough about?
I think we've hit everybody.
Okay.
I think Ohtani and Neto, those are the guys that I think most of the baseball world that ignores the Angels or makes jokes about the Angels should pay attention to these guys. Those are definitely the core guys. Those are the two star players, and they're potentially like multi-year all-stars going forward. And it's pretty good at catcher and shortstop. Those are positions you'd like to have locked down. So I think kind of the next question for the Angels is, are they going to sign these guys to big multi-year extensions and lock them up? Because they're definitely, at the ages 24 and 25 right now, looking like they're long-term studs.
Do you think they will?
That's a great question. They haven't really had, other than Trout, they haven't really had another guy that's it's even been an issue. So I don't know how they would approach it, but I would if I were them. But it's not my money.
That's true. Last one from me. If things go awry and this team ends up more in the 90+ loss range again, do you think this is a year that could cause changes, whether it's GM, manager, etc.? Like, for me, it's measuring the expectations of the boss, right? Every team is run by a dictator. That's just how it is, right? There's one person who makes the decision. They're called a controller. It's Artie Moreno for many years. Do you think his expectations are high enough that he would try and do something drastic this year? Because obviously there hasn't been winning for a while. Now the team's playing well, so you're seeing a little taste of what this could look like. But if it does go awry, what could happen?
Yeah, I mean, definitely Ron Washington and Perry Minasian could be gone at the end of the year if they have another bad year, and you're looking at 90, 95 losses. Certainly last year they were bad, and Perry got a contract extension. I think was an acknowledgement from Artie that he liked the direction, but that direction has got to keep going. They've got to improve, and if they don't improve, then I would be surprised if both of those guys are back. But as we sit here today, they certainly look like they're improved. We'll see what the next 112 games brings, but it's definitely looks better right now.
Jeff, thanks for swinging by. Appreciate the time. At Jeff Fletcher OCR is the follow on Twitter, and check out his work with the Orange County Register. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate the time, man.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Yep, Jeff Fletcher with us on FT. We'll swing back and hit a For the People segment coming up in a moment. Hit that Sacks. BetMGM, free game of the day. The Angels hosting the Marlins. So a chance here for the Angels to keep running against, obviously, one of the bottom feeders in baseball. You can check that game out for free if you have a funded account on BetMGM. Live streaming available if you're logged in and funded. Let's look at Thursday's locks. AJ and Kratz didn't make the mark. Yeah, Bybee had a day yesterday for Cleveland.
Did it.
Wow. Nice job, Scott.
He had 8 Ks. Yeah, Trevor Williams for me hit. That was a high-scoring game with the Nats and the Bravos. Todd Father's up 975. Papelbon and myself chasing him. AJ has $3 for the whole weekend. And then Kratz working his way.
Poor
Slow
buddy.
and steady.
One step at a time.
Todd, Father, you had a big hit a couple days ago with
Yeah.
the Red Sox money line, and then the Red Sox fell the next day. So how you getting back on track today?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Jackson Jobe. I'm going Tigers money line. I think that is at minus 120. Yeah, so 480 to win 400. Let's go. Big bet before the weekend. Well, the weekend's here. Let's go.
Long weekend, extra cash for you. I like it.
Catch.
Mm-hmm. Kratz, you want to go, and then Papelbon and myself later?
Yeah, I got a same game parlay. I got the over in the Diamondbacks games because the Diamondbacks always are an over team. Even though Zach Gallen's going, it's 8.5, so it's low with some value there. And the Diamondbacks to win the game. And the Diamondbacks beating the Cardinals, and that's plus 240. Put down 100.
Very nice. And your home run bet tonight?
My home run? Anthony Volpe. See if I can go 2 for 2 in the last 2 weeks with home runs. Anthony Volpe in Colorado. See if the ball travels.
There you go. All right, I'll do my pick later. We'll get Parlay Pap coming through, and he is Parlay Pap today for those that are paying attention. Coming back to look at a couple team shows that had some notable comments. The Friar Territory show with Heath Bell talking about what the Padres need was definitely a unique answer. And then Mark Pryor giving us the latest on Shohei Ohtani's pitching rehab. For the people, let's go to Kyle Glazer and Heath Bell on Friar Territory, the show that covers the Padres on a weekly basis. Heath Bell chiming in with what the Padres can do to get out of their rut. The losing skid is at 7, right? Or 6? 6. The losing skid is at 6. Yeah, they lost. They got swept by the Mariners, and then they got swept by the Blue Jays, which finished up yesterday with the Blue Jays down a run in extras, catching back up, and then getting the walk-off. So here's what Heath Bell says the old school way to do things are, where you climb out of a slump by hanging with the boys.
To be honest with you, I'm at the level is they need to go get drunk. They need to go get hammered as a team. They need to drink because I feel like they're pressing. I feel like they're not swinging at good pitches. I feel like pitchers are trying to do too much. But really, I mean, some of the games that we've lost, it goes down to we're just not hitting the ball at all. And I feel like, they got to mix it up. They got to do something. On a serious note, maybe they need to don't take batting practice today, or everybody hit the ball the other way. But they need to, like early in the season, I was saying this is a team. I feel like it's not a team anymore for some reason. It's getting a little bit more individual. We need to get back to a team. So have a team barbecue, go out together, go see Bad Bunny. I'm not saying go get hammered, but yeah, that's kind of what we do back in the day is go get hammered and you'd show up the next day, just hungover. And you're like, whatever, I just want to survive the day. And the funny part is you just do the little things. You're just like, okay, let me just try to put a good swing on the ball. Let me just try to throw strikes. And, David Wells was hungover and threw a perfect game. It does happen. Wear the golden thong. Ask Derek Jeter. So, it's just one of those things. Maybe every day everybody needs to wear a thong that day. But they need to do something. They really do. The whole point is they need to talk about how we're laughing and all this to get back and stop thinking about, man, we've lost how many in a row? We're dropping in the standings. Where, hey, let's just go play baseball. Let's just win one at a time. Don't worry about anything. That's what they really need to do.
More from Heath Bell on Friar Territory, if you like the delivery there, Todd Father. Obviously, everyone drink responsibly, and he was kind of kidding. But there's things you do, right, as a team, aside from strategy, to try and get out of a rut.
Yeah, you can. That was fantastic. Just the way he talks about it, you can't get away with any of that now. especially in the game with video cameras and everything else. You can put all the bats together and have like a little prayer with the bats in front of you and say something. You could talk to your bat there. You could take a shower with your uniform on and get all the bad juju off of it. All that. There's all different types stuff you could do. But ultimately, you got to find a way to win one game, and that'll kickstart you back to where you need to be.
Good starting pitcher for the next game usually helps too, Kratz.
That is the time that you have meetings. That's the time you have parties because you're like, you know what? We got Garrett Cole going tomorrow. We got Dylan Cease going. Michael King's been pitching well. Let's make sure we do this right before. And sometimes those starters are like, come on, bro. Like, why do we always have the team parties before I pitch? Oh, because you're the best pitcher.
Mm-hmm. Hey, that comes with the contract. If you're an ace, they're signing you up so that they can have successful team meetings if need be. Let's get to Shohei Ohtani's progress. I know some of you are probably sick of hearing it, but we're getting someone from inside, a pretty direct source here, giving us more info on when we'll see a two-way player like this in our sport. Again, Mark Prior, pitching coach for the Dodgers on Dodgers territory yesterday, said this.
As everything with Show, he's unique and he's kind of an outlier situation. There's days where he goes 4 for 4 and he's running around on the base pass, and he comes in the next day and he's feeling, tired and exhausted. So the throwing work volume needs to be cut short or tweaked to kind of manage that. And so it's been an ongoing learning process, I think, for everybody involved. But he is getting closer. His last couple bullpens, he's really ramped up kind of the intensity and all his pitches. And so I think we're getting close. I think we're getting close to where he can start facing some hitters, whether that's in the next couple weeks or, as we turn into June, at the latter part of June. I don't think that's unreasonable, but honestly, things are always a little bit TBD just because of what he does on the offensive side of the ball and what the stress of that takes on his body at times.
Good stuff from pitching coach Mark Prior. And a good point there, Kratz. I mean, he's also playing every day.
He is playing every day, and he's going to be playing every day when he's pitching. So you would think they had this model, but you forget he hasn't pitched for the Dodgers yet. The Dodgers are going to try to build this model for him of how he feels. Give us a number, rated on 1 to 10. How tired are you? The interesting thing is, are they going to expect him to not DH so that he can start once he's fully back? I'm not even saying he's going to be fully back this season. I'm saying, how are the Dodgers going to do it? Because the Dodgers lean towards, we're going to make sure he's not tired because they know it's associated with injuries. So how are they going to handle it? We get a little sneak peek there by Prior.
Slowly and steadily. That's all I can say about him. Slow everything down. Let him be him. Take your time, as we talked about numerous times, and he'll be fine. You got to make sure from head to toe, everything is in the right position for him to pitch and play as well, meaning hit. So focus on that. Prior is a really good dude. Was in a big league camp with him, and he had some really good wisdom. And they know what they're doing.
Hey, for you Dodgers territory fans or Fair Territory fans or Baseball America Hot Sheet, all those shows are not going to be happening just this Monday, of course, to observe Memorial Day. So they'll get pushed to Tuesday. Dodgers territory with Clint and Alano, always getting the VIP guests out in LA. And that includes Ken, too. Ken usually gets you the Fair Territory show on Monday mornings. That's going to happen on Tuesday. Just a little programming note. And we're also not going to be on Monday, which is what we do every year, observing Memorial Day. All right, FT fam, we'll be right back for Slap.
What's up, FT fam, my people of FT, all my boys at the desk, what's happening? It's your boy Parlay Pap here. Yeah, I'm going up with a big matchup today in the Skenes-Peralta matchup. I'm taking Skenes in the run line, which is +1.5. And I'm also going with Mackenzie Gore today. I think that dude's a stud, been pitching good. Taking him in the money line, we're going to parlay them together. +168 we getting. And that's going to win us $168. I got a doubleheader to do. Peace out.
It's good math right there from Parlay Pap. Love that. Have fun at your doubleheader. I'll follow with my lock for tonight. I'm going with the Phillies money line to beat the A's. A's have been struggling lately. I think the A's bullpen is a massive issue right now, and I don't see it getting fixed anytime soon. Not that they can't win one game, but Phillies coming in hot, all nice and confident after their stat padding series against the Rockies. Plus, I'm adding Zach Wheeler's over on his strikeout prop, which was at -140 on BetMGM. So I wanted to use that in the right direction. So I picked the win as well. Yeah, Wheeler's at 7.8 Ks per game over his last 5 starts. So give me 7+, please. And that's checking in at +135. So I'll throw down 100 to win 135. There's all the locks there on the board for you. And if you want to use a home run boost token tonight, then you activate that token when you bet on any player to hit a home run in an MLB game on the BetMGM app. If that player does homer, you get a bigger payout. Kratz did it with his Volpe home run lock. What'd you go from? 550, right? +550 to 600 with the boost token?
660. +660.
Whoa. Look at you. There it is. So go find your own boost token on the BetMGM app. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We'll be right back. We'll touch on a few big matchups for the weekend before we say bye for a whole 3 days. That's a lot for us. Let's slap. Hey, guest reminder, next week we should have Pete Alonso back on. Remember, he had to delay his appearance, so we should have Polar Bear, I think maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. So keep an eye on that. And happy birthday, Buck Showalter, part of the FT fam. Hope you enjoy the weekend. Maybe get a little golf in. Looking at matchups, we've got Freddie Peralta against Paul Skenes tonight.
Oh, that's a goodie.
That's a goodie. I like it. What about an underrated pitching performance to look at, Kratz, for the kiddos that don't throw a billion? Chris Bubich against Bailey Ober.
Yeah, I mean, that is the two unique dudes where the one guy, the velo's not there, but both dudes throw fastballs that guys are a day late and a dollar short on. And Ober's really turned it around, and Bubich has been nails all season.
Yeah, look at the lines and the recent performances for those two. It's standing out. Why is that? I mean, obviously, we've talked about this before, but Todd Father, you got some guys you'll face, like, I mean, Ober's huge too, doesn't throw hard, yet you'll see him throw a heater up in the zone, and as a fan, you're watching, you're like, how come they're so late on that? They can't make contact on, 93.
It's like Chris Young, man, when he pitched. I mean, he's 7 feet tall, but he didn't throw hard at all. It's the late life, I would say. It's the ball, it rises a little bit, it's downward tilt. They knew how to throw it. They would throw the ball down to you, they would rise it at 7 feet tall. And you're just like, man, they're just pinpoint control too. They would get that couple inches off the plate, and you're like, oh man, now I'm in the hole, and you're like, what happened? But yeah, that's what they do. They're crafty and they are underrated, and it's a fun game to watch because you're like, why aren't these guys hitting the ball? Of course, that's what it is. But the matchup I'm looking at, Nick Pivetta, Chris Sale, man. Anything with Chris Sale in it, and Nick Pivetta, who's got good emotions. Both of them, man. They leave it all on the line there. That's going to be a fantastic game to watch for me.
Nick Pivetta against the boys, the old squad.
Yeah. And the old squad, too. Yeah.
Oh, no. Sorry. He's against the Braves.
No,
Sorry,
Braves.
I messed that up. Yeah. Bravos. But
You
still.
were meshing where Sale should have been.
And where Pivetta had been for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Throwing that curveball.
He's always had the stuff. That's been a good one. And, hey, Padres need to get back on track here. Tough sledding, as we talked about.
I know.
Yeah, not fun to run into Sale and Acuña. Yeah. Hey, if you missed the top of the show, we spent a good 10, 15 minutes on what's going on with the Braves, so you can check that out. Obviously, they're getting some of the big boys back. Now you can start to really judge how you think the 2025 Braves look. I will say some Braves fans are a little too harsh on their team. I did this on a radio hit recently. I was on one of the radio stations down there, and then they posted about it, and people are like, bug off, like, you don't know crap, they suck. I'm like, they don't suck. Like, you are way too spoiled as a fan if you think the Braves this year haven't been good. You know, like, you'll talk to some people down in that area, and they're like, not this year. It's not it. I'm like, we're in mid-May. You're in the playoff race, and you've been missing your two big boys for most of the year. Just give it a little time. I'm not saying they're going to win the World Series, but this team's good.
Yeah, who else are you going to root for? Come on.
That's right. You'd have to move. And guess what? There are a lot worse situations to be in. Ballpark, battery, success, recent World Series win. Not much to complain about.
Braves have it good. Kind of like Todd at the barber. Always getting extra.
Mm-hmm.
Our haircut for me.
Hour?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I get the massage and the lather. I get it all nice.
It's working for you. It's working for you, baby. Enjoy
I need a trim.
Yeah. The Memorial Day weekend for everyone. Hope it's great for you. Todd Father back clean shaven next week. See you then.